Lights danced. Lights danced in darkness. Danced like ghosts above a man. A man down, a man out. The man looked, and the lights were still dancing. The lights were bright and painful, and the man wanted to roll away. Wanted so bad to roll away, but he could not roll away. He could not roll away from the iron he smelled on his upper lip. He could not crawl away from the shame he felt lying on the ground, lying to himself as a familiar voice shouted over his shoulders, "It's over, you've lost." And that familiar voice with familiar hands pulling on his shoulders, lifting him up to the ropes so he could be lifted up to his feet so that the referee could lift the other guy's hand. And the man knew in that moment he was being played. He looked out over a dark platform with screaming crowds, down a black tunnel with screaming crowds running all the way up the stands, finding himself seated in a quiet room, seated on a table waiting the doctor's inspection. Not even the doctor was smiling anymore. The inspection was a formality, nothing more. The doctor had always stayed, the trainer had always been there, but now both were gone and the man was left alone, completely alone in that white and black room. The man asked if there was enough left in him to fight a different fight. He asked if there was enough left in his mind to say what he needed to say, what he was born to say. Later maybe when he wasn't so tired. He wanted to fight through the tired. He wanted so much to skip the tired, but no one got to skip the rest up, the restoration. That familiar voice was down the hall in the distance, but words could not be heard. Laughs were unmistakable. How often now did the man's trainer laugh when he was not in the room? Laughs died down to whispers, and all the man had were his thoughts again. Blow after blow, pressure after pressure were starting to be peeled back from the man's mind. Yes, his mind was finally starting to clear of the fog that had been put there. Where was his trainer now? His trainer had not been shy with advice in the ring. No, the trainer knew exactly what he wanted the man to do. Just when the man needed good advice, the trainer told him exactly what he should do. And he fell, and he fell, and he fell again. Where was his trainer now? Win or loss, he should be there, but it was only losses now. The third in 2 years. What happened to those little, promising wins? Lost in the third of 3 big losses. Then the whispers and the laughs and the bad advice all came together to hit the man harder than any blow he had received that night. What was he gaining by seeing me lose? The man fell back under the weight of the blow. Tears streamed down his face from the weight of the blow, but in the middle of the darkness, a blinding light danced overhead of him. He felt his grandma praying. He had always laughed, but now was listening because there was nothing left to laugh about in his current existence. Her truth in the middle of the lies and disturbed minds said, when the pressure's on, you prove your days of preparation weren't wasted days. And he was certainly feeling the pressure, but he needed to hope that hope rescued him. Couldn't keep hoping in a trainer failing him. Pressure, constant pressure, but now found. No more foundering, but found. Drag the ground and rattle to a stop no more. Fill with water and die no more. Die no more. No more fake experiences stealing his sleep on the edge of speaking greatness stolen from his lips by procrastination. Fear of failure causing failures. Fantasy supreme sinking him under. Anger crowding him in the corner thinking he was winning, all the while open wide to the punches. And no part of it, not one part of it, redeeming him to his redeemer, bought back from the violent lie that violent lives get things done. And the door opened, and his trainer walked in, but the man did not stand. did not stand as he had always stood. He sat in silence, but in his head rang out one clear sentence: walk out and close the door on your trainer. The trainer tried to laugh off the awkward silence, but the man interrupted him. Where were you? The man asked. Talking to an old friend, the trainer replied. What friend? A friend who may do you a favor later, the trainer said. And have I been paying for that favor tonight? The man asked. Have I been paying for that favor with my last 3 fights? Look, son, the trainer said, you've got talent, but you've also got to play the game. You know you've got to make sacrifices now for the big picture. But not those kind of sacrifices, the man shouted. Not sacrifices of character. I counted on you. Counted on you to see the things I could not see, but you only told me things that weren't there, and I fell for it, and I fell for it. And again rang in the man's ear more clearly than the voice of his trainer, walk out and close the door on your trainer. The trainer saw the man's determination and started in with the usual excuses, the excuses that had worked before, but the man rose anyway. He walked on his own 2 feet and left anyway. Left the trainer, left the doctor, left the white and black room, the whole stadium, sorted, and the last layer peeled back from his mind, never to return again. And the new familiar voice awakened in him said, wake up, champion. You're not alive to play, you're alive to pray. The trainer called the next day to ask the man back, but the man chose not to give it the time of day. And the next day, and the next day, and a week after that, and a month later, and a whole year passed, and the trainer called him again. Anger rose at the unending temptation, but the man had begun to learn that anger only led him back to fighting, and fighting he would lose. On the trainer's level, the trainer beat him with experience. But what was beyond the trainer's comprehension was reverence of the Redeemer. Looking weak for a moment in the arms of a loving Father, crying out for mercy and truth, a mind being clean from the lies that once clouded it, refusing to answer a counterfeit call. Because the man was not anybody's fall guy anymore. He did not recognize himself as the same man anymore, because he had walked out and closed the door on what kept knocking him down.